Stranger Things is a celebration of all things 80s, from pop culture callbacks to the food we all forgot. And let's not forget all the bombastic looks that defined the decade. From Dustin's trucker hats to the Scoops Ahoy uniform and Eleven's many style transformations, here's everything you need to know about the amazing 80s fashion of Stranger Things. Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory, the show that's turning your idea of fashion upside down. After nearly a decade, Stranger Things is finally coming to an end.
But this has been one of my hyperfixation shows for years, so we have to give it a proper Style Theory send-off.
Because let's be honest, the costume designers of the show did not have to go this hard.
From sourcing vintage outfits from actual 80s Midwestern yearbooks to letting characters grow both literally and figuratively through their clothes, and even dragging them through some stage blood to ensure that every stain was as accurate as possible, this attention to every small detail meant that Stranger Things wasn't just an homage to the 80s, but a time machine that transports us back to that iconic decade.
So get ready to go on a season-by-season tour of some of Stranger Things' most famous fits, and find out how just a single outfit can tell you so much about the show and its characters. For season 1, show creators the Duffer Brothers and their team of costume designers wanted to focus on one thing above all else: authenticity. All the characters on screen needed to feel real and not like caricatures of the 80s.
Which is why we don't see people rocking the big hair and neon colors. At least, not yet.
Remember, Stranger Things' first season takes place in November of 1983 in the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana, which isn't exactly a bustling big city that would have all the latest trends on hand at the start of the decade.
And most of the fashion trends that we now associate with the 80s wouldn't actually come around for another few years.
Most of the early 80s fashion trends were carried over from the late 70s. So instead of the neon pinks, blues, and yellows that we typically think of as being popular, we instead see earth tones like brown, green, and beige still reigning supreme.
In order to make sure that they stayed as true to that 1983 Indiana aesthetic as possible, costume designer Kimberly Adams decided to go straight to the source.
No, not Hawkins Lab, the real source.
Adams collected a stockpile of magazines, family albums, and even school yearbooks from that specific time and place to know exactly what real people of the time were wearing.
And she made them into these amazing mood boards, which we stan a crafty queen.
But while figuring out what people actually wore back then was surprisingly simple, getting their hands on those authentic pieces wasn't.
One could even say that it was more difficult than surviving a season of Stranger Things when your name starts with a B.
I mean, it's not like the costume designers could just go to the mall and shop. These items were vintage, and they were operating on a season 1 budget, which meant that they had to get a little thrifty to deck out their growing cast.
Especially the main group of kids.
Of the 4 boys, Mike's outfits are the most middle-class sitcom standard. We see him wearing nice sweaters, several different jackets, as well as a few polos and Henley shirts. While he's not exactly preppy like his sister Nancy, it's clear that his mother, Karen Wheeler,
a character that always appears to be trying to stay on trend with the youths,
makes sure that her son has a new closet of in-style clothes every back-to-school season.
Also, the Wheelers, a very straightforward family. I mean, even baby Holly got in on it, but we'll come back to her.
The Byers, on the other hand, were a little less well off. Joyce Byers is a single mom who works one job and loves her kids and never stops, giving Will that horrible bowl cut.
It may have been easy to do at home and semi-popular at the time, but unless your name is Atsuko, please let this trend die.
Speaking of what should and shouldn't die, I am so excited and a little terrified to see what happens in the final episodes of season 5. But the next set isn't gonna be out until Christmas, which is, oh my gosh, not that far away. Have you finished your holiday shopping? If not, don't worry. I'm about to introduce you to your holiday secret weapon. Meet Raise.com, our sponsor for today's episode.
Raise is taking the gift card game to the next level. Not only do they have gift cards for everything from Uber Eats to Airbnb, they are giving you cash back. Yes, for every gift card that you buy, you are getting cash back to your Raise balance.
And that adds up fast.
And it stacks. So not only are you getting cash back, it's money on top of store sales, coupon codes, and even credit card rewards. So whether you're getting a gift card to treat yourself to a fun vacation, buy this week's groceries, or just securing a last-minute gift for a loved one, Raise has got your back. All you need to do is scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to get started right now.
Seriously, what are you waiting for? A written invitation? Well, here you go.
Scan the QR code on screen to start giving yourself the gift of gift cards today. And thanks again to Raise.com for sponsoring today's episode. But back to Will. As the lead costume designer has said in interviews, Will's clothes were intentionally aged more than Mike's to give them a hand-me-down look, either from his older brother Jonathan, the local Goodwill equivalent, or his estranged father, who it seems like Joyce may have also pilfered a few items from.
Now, Will doesn't have a ton of looks in the first season for obvious reason.
But what we do see includes a lot of jeans, basic trousers, flannels, and a puffer vest that seems to call back to Marty McFly and Back to the Future.
One of the many Back to the Future references throughout the show.
Moving on to Lucas, who, at least compared to Mike and Will, is styled in a much more outdoorsy aesthetic.
While he does show off some sweaters and flannels throughout the season, his default outfit consists mainly of colorful t-shirts layered under his Sherpa-lined trucker jacket.
A very on-trend carryover from the late 70s.
Alongside Raglan-style baseball tees and some V-neck ringer shirts.
And they are always tucked in.
And we sometimes see these looks topped off with his trusty bandana.
A very popular accessory of action stars throughout the 80s. Ones like Rambo, the Karate Kid, Edgar Frog, and everyone's favorite badass, Gizmo.
The last, but certainly not least, of our boy wonders is Dustin. Dustin's look is very consistent. The kid really has a personal style.
He is almost always seen wearing some variation of a short sleeve graphic tee over a long sleeve shirt, or his teal Explorer hoodie paired with jeans or khakis. And of course, all of that is topped with a trucker hat,
which actually started out being called gimme hats.
You see, during the 1970s and 80s, many agricultural businesses like, say, John Deere, started mass producing these lightweight functional caps and slapped their logos on them.
And gave them away to truckers, farmers, and other blue-collar workers for free. Hence, gimme.
The lightweight foam and mesh back made them great for absorbing sweat, cooling off your head, and blocking the sun. These gimme hats became so popular with truckers that they later became known as trucker hats.
The more you know.
But the true style event of the season was 11. While we don't get to see 11 showcase her own style this season, what she does wear is the moment.
Outside of the hospital gown and the item she borrows from Mike, her biggest fashion moment is the dress.
You know, that pink dress with the smock top and the Peter Pan collar.
This dress is meant to be one of Nancy's old dresses from the late 1970s, when she was around Mike's age. Given present-day Nancy's preppy feminine style that includes many pastels, soft fabrics, and yes, Peter Pan collars, this dress makes a lot of sense for her character.
And it helps Elle look out of place, like her character is meant to be in season 1.
This moment could be a reference to the moment in E.T. where the children dress said alien up in a wig and dress to help him blend in. However, it also seems to be a callback to the dresses worn by the infamous twins in The Shining, another 80s classic about a kid with powers.
As for the rest of our characters, there are a few other notable fits that we should mention.
First, there is Officer Jim Hopper, who we mostly see wearing his standard issue tan sheriff's uniform, complete with khakis, work boots, and a Stetson open road style fedora. Though he can also be seen wearing a blue bracelet, which is actually the blue hair tie that once belonged to his daughter, Sarah.
I'm not gonna cry. You're gonna cry. Let's just move on.
Then there is pre-babysitter Steve Harrington of the Big Hair Harringtons. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Season 1 Steve's style is all-American prep, as he is meant to be a contrast to the more grunge style of Jonathan Byers. His closet consists mainly of polos, Levi's, and khakis, sometimes paired with a fittingly named Harrington-style jacket. As costume designer Kimberly Adams put it, he's Brooks Brothers basics worn with attitude.
And who could forget Barb?
Her mom jeans and ruffled blouses paired with shapely short hair and oversized glasses was peak 80s suburbia.
With many fans online quick to point out and share photos of their own Barbs, just to show how accurate the show got the style.
Though her looks were few, they were mighty and memorable. But they won't be coming with us into season 2. Season 2 sees us fast forward to the fall of 1984, where many of our characters have grown both physically and emotionally.
One of the biggest examples is Nancy, I have guns in my bedroom, Wheeler.
In Season 1, her style was prim and proper. Very straight A, good girl, Molly Ringwald and Breakfast Club chic.
But at the start of Season 2, Nancy is really struggling with Barb's death. And according to the show's new costume designer Kim Wilcox, her Season 2 fits are meant to be a reflection of this struggle. At the start of the season, we see her still clinging to her old style. But as the show goes on, her style grows with her. While still keeping her overall feminine aesthetic, Nancy trades in the youthful ribbons and dainty collars for more jeans, structured blouses and dresses, some darker colors, and of course, the beginning of her perm journey.
And in true 80s fashion, Nancy's hair is only going to get bigger from here.
Season 2 also brought in two new main characters, Bad Boy Billy and his stepsister, Maxine.
Nobody calls me Maxine, it's Max.
Max brings a breath of fresh air and fresh color to the palette of Stranger Things.
Max is a California skater girl with a wardrobe to match. First, you have her Vans, a brand that gained massive popularity in the 80s thanks in large part to its inclusion in Fast Times at Ridgemont High in 1982, as well as its overall ties to the rising skate culture of the era. We also see her wearing several tops inspired by brands like Ocean Pacific and Hang Ten that were also popular at the time.
Meanwhile, her stepbrother Billy is taking a page out of Bad Boy 101. No, I don't mean the Will Smith movies.
According to the hair and costuming department, they took inspiration from Rob Lowe's outsider character Soda Pop as well as early Bruce Springsteen.
But there is one other clearly big influence on his style that I have to call out, and that is The Lost Boys.
While the movie itself didn't come out until 1987, the references to the famous 80s vampire movie are clear. From the earring and biker boots, the sunglasses and excessive use of leather and denim, to, of course, the hair.
The only thing worse than this mullet are Billy's anger issues. And listen, some mullets are very cute, but this one is giving Party City, respectfully. But we can't talk about bad boy punk aesthetics and not talk about Eleven's iconic makeover.
In Season 2, we see Eleven move in with Hopper, who isn't exactly fashion forward. Under his influence, Eleven is dressed in very masculine, oversized clothes.
While there's nothing wrong with this style, it is pretty much the same thing that we see in Season 1, at least until she meets 8.
And 8 definitely ate every time she was on screen.
8, also known as Callie, takes heavy inspiration from the punk bands of the time, such as Susie Sue and Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. You see this even more when she's with her fellow bandits, with their leather jackets, makeup, and mohawks.
Listen, I know Mike had a thing for the orange mohawk, but it was 8's hair that had me gagged.
Side shaves were popular with the punk movement of the era, though nowadays most people tend to remember the style from its 2010s revival.
With 8's guidance, 11 gets a whole new look.
The smoky eyeshadow, slicked back hair, and oversized structured blazer is a statement for sure. While the outfit is giving Madonna circa her Like a Prayer era, the makeup and hair seem to take some inspiration from Dave Vanian, the lead singer of The Damned.
Do you see the vision?
When it comes to 11's fellow Goonies, our four fellas really haven't switched up their styles much since Season 1.
Though, as this season does take place during Halloween of 1984, we do get a great Ghostbusters moment thanks to the movie coming out a few months prior in universe. And if you look a little closer, you can see how Will's costume is slightly the wrong color with hand-sewn patches, a nod to the fact that his mom likely had to make his costume by hand,
keeping in his character's visual theme.
And of course, we have to mention everyone's favorite babysitter with a bat, Steve Harrington. While Season 2 Steve does stick to that 80s popular boy aesthetic that seems pulled straight from a John Hughes movie, it is a bit more dressed down than what we saw in Season 1.
During his foray into the woods with Dustin, Steve dons a pair of classic Ray-Ban wafers and Nike Cortez sneakers, both made popular by Tom Cruise in 1983's Risky Business, as well as a new jacket style, the members only. This jacket saw a huge surge in popularity during the 80s due to the wild marketing campaign that said, when you put it on, something happens to you.
Likely didn't mean for that something to be being attacked by demo dogs, but Hey, you never know. But we do get to find out the secret to how Steve styles his famous hair.
It's Fabergé Organics. Use the shampoo and the conditioner, and when your hair is damp, do 4 puffs of the Farrah Fawcett spray.
Farrah Fawcett spray?
Yeah, Farrah Fawcett.
One of Charlie's original angels, Farrah Fawcett was famous for, you guessed it, her luscious hair. So much so that she had a whole line of hair care products with Fabergé in the 80s. That included not just shampoo and conditioner, but Steve's favorite hairspray,
which he later uses to help Dustin style his own hair for the snowball dance.
At the dance, we see our main squad all dolled up in suits and dresses that were definitely picked out by their parents.
But it's Eleven who really has the wow moment. With her epically 80s dress, complete with exaggerated shoulders and belt, paired with the same blue hair tie bracelet that we've seen Hopper wear throughout the series.
From one daughter to another.
No, I'm not crying. It's just my allergies. Okay, let's just move on to season 3.
By Stranger Things Season 3, we have officially hit the mid-80s, which means that we can say goodbye to the carryover browns and beiges of the 1970s and hello to the neon.
The 80s gained its reputation as the neon decade for a few different reasons. Some was due to the advancing technology in the world of fabric dyeing, spearheaded by companies like Dayglow.
This led to fluorescent dyes being used in everything from your windbreakers to your jelly shoes.
Then you had the rise of MTV, with its colorful branding and Technicolor music videos. And who can forget the growing aerobics movement and its vibrant, eye-catching leotard.
And we know at least one mom in Hawkins who is definitely a fan. An icon.
But no other character in Stranger Things seems to have embraced the neonification of it all as much as Lucas's sister, Erica Sinclair.
While Erica's earlier appearances in the show did show off some of the color we'd come to expect from her, when she joins the main cast in season 3, we get a full fashion show. Nearly all of Erica's outfits from this point forward are some mix of denim overalls, flowers, and tons and tons and tons of neon colors.
Michelle Tanner wishes she had this wardrobe.
Lucas also has a great callback to his bandana moments of previous seasons, this time paired with a Karate Kid t-shirt. Look, the kid really likes his action movies.
The 1980s was also a big time for mall culture. Malls gave young people a safe place to shop the latest trends, hang out with their friends,
and for those lucky enough to be of working age, their first jobs.
One of the most distinctive and honestly iconic locations of all of Stranger Things has to be the Starcourt Mall and its premier ice cream shop, Scoops Ahoy.
Ahoy!
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 Listen, there's arguably nothing in Stranger Things Season 3 that made the same waves as the Scoops Ahoy sailor uniform. Get it? Waves! Cause it's ship-themed. Ahoy!
Anyways, in previous episodes, we've talked about how that classic sailor uniform draws inspiration from actual sailor uniforms, primarily in the British and American navies of the 1800s.
However, it didn't become a fashion statement until around 1846, when Queen Victoria had one commissioned for her son, Prince Albert Edward.
And what the Queen does, so does the public, even in 80s America.
The uniform also pays homage to the fictional Captain Hook Fish and Chips restaurant from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, while still playing into the classic teenage trope of being forced to wear an embarrassing uniform at your job where all of your classmates can see you.
As costume designer Amy Paris put it to fashionista.com, she was instructed to make a uniform that was embarrassing enough that you would be embarrassed to wear that at the mall, while also being appealing enough for viewers to watch it for an entire season.
Personally, I think they aced it. And the costume sales of that uniform the following year agree with me.
This season also brings us a new friendship between Max and Eleven.
Max spends most of the season in a mix of shorts, shirts, and jacket combinations of varying primary colors. It's a nice departure from season 2 that shows her embracing her feminine side thanks in part to her friendship with Eleven, while still keeping that skater streetwear aesthetic.
In fact, many of them seem pulled straight from the magazines of the time. And Max Max helped 11 have the classic makeover montage experience.
We see both girls recreate that stereotypical 80s fashion that we all know and love during their photo shoot moments. These looks include a lot of denim and lame, big gaudy jewelry and bows, and gloves straight out of a Madonna music video.
11 continues this kind of style into the rest of the season, so let's just speedrun the hits.
There's the 80s-tastic neon romper, which was apparently found at a random costume shop in LA. Then you have this yellow pattern button-up with crisscross suspenders. And finally, we have the splattered top with high-waisted jeans, once again paired with suspenders.
Unlike a lot of the earlier seasons, these looks weren't vintage. They were made for the show, inspired by outfits that the costume designers saw in old issues of things like 17 magazine,
where you would see a lot of bold prints and accessories like belts and suspenders.
We also see a similar exploration of brighter, vibrant colors and unique patterns with Nancy,
who switches out her pastels for hot pinks and purples, and her blouses and skirts for big printed dresses.
But while this season definitely killed it when it came to character design, it wasn't until season 4 where we saw the design team have their skills truly tested. Season 4 of Stranger Things was definitely the biggest season by far at the time of its release, with more locations, more time periods, and more headaches for the costume department than any season previously.
Like when we flash back to 1979 at the start of the season, the costume team had to make sure that Dr. Brenner's suit had all the markings of the 70s, not the 80s, with details like the wide lapel and long collar. Or when they had to make multiple 80s-era Soviet prison uniforms to fill out their Russian set.
But just because the costume team had a bigger budget didn't mean they lost their ability to tell character stories through their clothes. This season we see 11 in California, where she's wearing similar bold patterns like we saw in season 3, with some updates.
Most of her looks appear less straight from the mall racks as last season and more secondhand, which visually aligns her with her new place in the buyer's family. Some of the looks even appear to be hand-me-downs from her new family members, though the blue hair tie bracelet still remains.
Costume designer Amy Paris says that a lot of Elle's style this season was inspired by the 80s sitcom Square Pegs.
Specifically, Sarah Jessica Parker's character, who wore oversized baggy layers and even had a similar hairstyle to 11 at the start of the season.
Though 11's outfits go through a lot this season, and the costume team had to figure out how to do things like make milkshake stains be consistent across multiple versions of an outfit, and how to make fight stains feel very realistic.
By literally dragging the lead costume designer through fake blood. Duh.
Mike also gets an update when he joins Elle in California.
As the lead costume designer put it, Mike's California outfits were meant to look touristy, as if he had just bought them at one of those airport duty-free shops.
And is immediately clocked by new character Argyle,
who is much more authentic surfer, thanks mainly to the brand Quicksilver, who helped out production by recreating some of their authentic vintage pieces that they used to make in the 80s.
And they kept his shirts colorful so that we never lost sight of his long, luscious hair.
And his influence can also be seen on Jonathan, who adds a lot more, let's call them psychedelic patterns to his previous flannels and basics look.
But we can't talk about new characters and not mention Eddie Munson.
Eddie is the dungeon master of the Hawkins Hellfire Club.
Eddie's look also includes a lot of carefully chosen details, like the handcuffed belt buckle, the white Reeboks with the tongues out, and the many, many, many rings that play into the metalhead aesthetic.
The now iconic Hellfire shirt is a raglan-style tee, which is actually perfect for cheaply screen printing a bunch of copies so that you can deck out your entire high school club. And the actual logo was designed to look like it was drawn by one of the actual club members.
Over his Hellfire t-shirt, Eddie wears a skinny silhouette leather jacket, layered under a vintage Levi's denim jacket. Though the denim jacket has been DIY'd into a vest, with an added vintage detail of an authentic Dio t-shirt cut out to fit the back panel. The vest is also covered in a number of pins and patches of other bands like Iron Maiden and Megadeth that Eddie would have been a fan of.
We later see Eddie give this vest to Steve in the Upside Down.
Because we all know that cozy sweaters and polo shirts are not fit for for fighting monsters.
No, that calls for Dustin's Ewok meets Red Dawn number.
Though, through it all, Nancy continues to be an 80s icon.
Pulling in a lot of belts, mixed patterns and textures, exaggerated shoulders, and big hair.
Her whole vibe this season is very 9 to 5 meets working girl. Though, this undercover number definitely takes a lot of inspiration from the movie Heathers,
which stars our very own Joyce Byers.
This is a huge contrast to someone like Robin, whose character design takes a lot more inspiration from the 1977 movie Annie Hall, starring the amazing Diane Keaton.
This style is a lot more masculine, involving menswear like suit pants and vests. It aims for a less feminine silhouette, though Robin's looks have a similar DIY feel to what we saw on Eddie.
And listen, there is so much more that we could talk about from all of the previous seasons. Like, I had to cut so much out to not make this video be 3 hours long. And with season 5 airing now, there's still more new things to talk about as well.
Like Robin's callback to this iconic look worn by Winona Ryder, Dustin's continuing trend of modeling his style after his male role models, Eleven's Goonie-inspired work outfit,
and Holly freaking Wheeler,
who has had her Danny Torres and Poltergeist moments throughout the seasons and is now bringing in references to Rainbow Bright, 1950s styles reminiscent of previous characters, and even cosplaying as her D&D counterpart, which is giving major Alice in Wonderland meets Little Red Riding Hood energy.
Though with the second half of season 5 still not out by the time that we recorded this one, that will have to be saved for another episode.
But hey, that's just a theory, a style theory. Keep looking sharp. Next time on Style Theory.
Detention! You have violated the school dress code, as have you, and we're not even talking about you yet. But why do so many of our favorite high school themed movies and TV shows fail so badly at showing what kids can actually wear to school